If this is popping up in your feed and you are wondering what in the world is this game, it's primarily a player versus player MMORPG. It's set in the Warhammer universe. It's currently a private server maintained by a passionate dev team who continues to release new patches and features and keeps the game running smoothly for this amazing community. The focus of this game is player versus player. I'm not gonna lie, there's dungeons, it's great, but the focus is definitely player versus player battles between two realms. If you played lots of World of Warcraft, think Alliance versus Horde, except here it's Order versus Destruction. Battles between the factions will take place either in small-scale scenarios up to 24 versus 24, and larger open realm versus realm battlefields where I've seen battles as big as 300 versus 300. Each week there's this special Land of the Dead expedition which gets packed with both factions, and we fight it out to see who takes control of the necropolis and dueling arena for the week, as well as gaining exclusive Land of the Dead rewards and currency for armors and weapons. It's absolutely frantic. It's a ton of fun, and if you're looking to get into it, this is a guide. Guide to get started for any class, really, but I will be focusing on the Archmage because that's what I've been playing, and I feel proficient and frankly good enough to be able to provide tips to new players and not misinformation. You know, even though this game is old, updates are released regularly. Every weekend there's a new scenario event with rewards. Multiple times a year are special events with lots of rewards and goodies. Just recently, a huge new patch was put out, which added a brand new low-level dungeon, Dragonback Pass, which teaches new players the mechanics of the game and different classes, mechanics, and also starts you off with your first armor set through the rewards it provides. And we'll get into that later. Why you want to, I'm looking at it right here, the rewards, why you want to unlock these armor sets. You don't want to just skip them. I picked this game back up towards the middle of 2024. It came out in 2008. I played for about a year, put it down, and servers went down so like 2013, towards the end of 2013, and they created this private shard, which has been going strong for a long time now. I've been primarily playing the Archmage class, who is a healer archetype. This guide will be focused around the Archmage and Order. However, a lot of what I go over will be relevant to both factions and all newer players. I'm going to break this guide up into chapters, so once this comes out, feel free to skip through to what you need to know about. Starting in Warhammer Online, let's get to it. Before you can start playing what you see on screen, you need an account. The good news is that it's completely free without any cash stored to ruin the gaming experience. It's one reason why so many of us continue to play. And we'll go through that right now. I have it over here. Go to returnofreckoning.com. I have the link down in the description. And you can see live event Keg's End just came. This is the Christmas event. It's going on. Lots of rewards. It's great. This website has so much information. It has forums. It also tells you what the current population is on the servers, and as you can see, it's pretty even right now. It's normally pretty even. Sometimes it fluctuates more order, sometimes more destruction. That's just how it is. Just have fun, man. Right now there's a huge player count. Right, there are almost 1,000 players on. Lots of people playing this. It's super active. So you want to create your account on the front page and click download game launcher, run the installation program, and then you're right into it, right? That's all you need to do. You sign in and you're playing. While you're downloading stuff, you don't need to start out playing the game with any add-ons. However, as you get further into the game and tackle harder content, you're gonna want to create some additions to the UI. If you start in fresh and you're looking at my screen, it looks a lot different from what you're looking at. Keep in mind, this game was originally made in 2008. And there are a lot of quality of life features that were just not added into MMOs back then. So while you're downloading this stuff, go over to Google, type in ORvR add-ons, and go to Addons tools. This is what it looks like, and you could search for add-ons. Don't need to download all of them. Eventually as you play, you realize, you know what, I really like to do this. Well, someone's probably made an add-on for it. A few of the ones that you want to look for is enemy add-on. This add-on's great. That changes the group and warband UI into a simpler version showing important combat marks, buffs, and guards, and adds a quick marker option in order to mark members of your group with arrows. Also, you can see on the screen, you might see buffs and debuffs above enemies' heads and friendly targets' heads for buffs and heal over times. It's an extremely important add-on to be able to track these debuffs if you're a dotting class, or the heals if you're a healing class. So there's a question in chat about an add-on not working. There are some add-ons that require other add-ons to work. For example, Pure or libslash. It creates a library that other add-ons pull from to build what you see in game. So if your add-on's not working, you might be missing an add-on library. So getting into classes, let's start with the Empire. The human class. Starting up here, the Knight of the Blazing Sun. This is your human tank. Not the best at dealing damage. However, the buffs they provide to the team are essential. Every warband wants a knight. They're also quite easy to play. They really just turn on the needed aura buff and go smack things and keep people from getting hit. Always use your guard as a tank. That's super important. The Witch Hunter back here. This is the rogue of Warhammer Online. The Order's Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. He does stabby, shooty, burst damage, and can go stealth. Not so much wanted for warbands. People ask, what class should I do? Really pick whatever you think looks cool. Don't go by what's most needed, because there's been times where all there was tanks and healers and I couldn't find any DPS. So don't be ashamed to, reach out. Oh, Witch Hunter looks awesome. Pick it. Go play it. Play what's fun. Bright Wizard, it's the ranged option for the humans. They are a mage that primarily casts fire spells. The more spells they cast, the higher damage they do. But without venting the heat from their flames, you're going to eventually kill yourself. The epitome of Warhammer themed classes. You do more damage by damaging yourself. A lot of fun to play, but you definitely want to get a hold of the class mechanic before going into some heavy ORvR. The Warrior Priest is the last class for the humans here. They're the healer. They're a great burst AoE healing option. They typically either run a book and hammer or shield and hammer, but they can also run a two-handed hammer to smite the foes if chaos. Full class fantasy. A lot of people play this. See, there's the two-handed hammer right there. A lot of people play this just for the class fantasy, and that's great. They're a lot of fun. You don't get that running around with a two-handed hammer wailing on someone. Dwarves next. The tank of the dwarf is the Ironbreaker. Dwarf tanks designated drinking buddy to buff with powerful utility shouts, increasing their attack speed, damage, and survivability, along with himself. They have a grudge mechanic that's built up through combat. Primarily, you and your drinking buddy receive damage and boost some attacks and allows you to buff up more. Next up is the Slayer. They're your melee DPS class. They deal more damage the longer they're in combat, but they also take more damage. They do an insane amount of melee damage. They eat through a backline when properly supported. They need a tank, they need a healer, but they will carry you through a scenario. They're great. Engineers, let's go over them next. They have guns and shoot things. They also have turrets that shoot things, and they throw grenades. Fun stuff. Essentially the dwarf ranged option, and then the Rune Priest is a dwarf healer. A lot of what they do with buffs is through runes. They either put runes on each class, or they put runes on the ground, which you could run over, then use the runes on yourself for like a shield, or to remove or cleanse yourself of damage over time, or slow. They don't have as many offensive capability as the other healers on the order. They're more of a pure healing class. High Elves. All right, the Swordmaster here. This is the elf tank. They're often played as a two-handed tank, as some of their attacks do spirit damage. I haven't played much of them. A lot of people play them because they look cool. The only class that carries a two-handed sword like that. White Lions is the melee DPS class. They carry a giant axe, and they have a pet lion. They're the high burst melee of the elves. Shadow Warriors are primarily range archers. The elf range damage dealer option. They have a couple stances. They can have a stance that makes them shoot longer distance and do more damage, and then one that's kind of used for medium range where they can move and shoot, and then one that's for close quarters where they can't shoot as many different arrow skills, but they have some melee options. Finally, I think we're down to the Archmage, the healer of the elves. Right, so not only are they the superior race, but there's a superior class. They have a mechanic called High Magic where they build either tranquility stacks from heals or force from offensive abilities. When you have stacks of force, your heals cast faster and heal more, expending a stack. And when you have stacks of tranquility, your damage spells cast faster and do more damage. The stacks will max out at 5, and you'll mostly ignore this mechanic, except where you're given the chance to build up an opener or engagement. Before moving on, I do want to mention in this game, when you choose a tank archetype, you will be expected to tank and guard for group activities. Same as if you pick a healer, you're expected to heal. People really want you to do your class option. However, some classes can reasonably run other specs. Just know that you will run into warbands and groups that won't want to take an off-spec class. That said, Archmage can deal damage, and it is a very fun class to play. I will go through both sides of the class, healing and damage dealing, but just know you should try avoiding damage route until you have reached level 40 and have endgame sets. I highly recommend sticking with healing through 40 and the endgame dungeons before venturing out into the world of DPS specs. Luckily, it is very easy to have an off spec to switch between healer and DPS specs in a flash. And it is free. There's no cost. I'll get into all that later when we're ready to discuss endgame gear. But for now, we're going to go through the healer run through. You've just created your Archmage, your elf healer. You start off, press M, you're in the Blighted Isle, right? But when you start off, your UI isn't going to look like this, where I said add-ons. There's a couple things you'll want to do. You won't have this many buttons. You only have a couple attack buttons, right? These flags over here are from the enemy add-on. You know, I got a lot of add-ons going on that you're not going to see, and that's okay. You don't need the add-on. One thing I would recommend is to go ahead and set up your hotbar and keybinds. Hit escape. You go into customize interface right here, layout mode. You have 2 bars side by side, 2 bars stacked, 5 bars. Oh my God. I don't know who uses that. Maybe an iron breaker. They're playing the piano. Over here, you can customize. You can make bars vertical, do all sorts of things. And then mods and add-ons can do even more. And I talked about add-ons a little bit, how to get add-ons. In here, you click on, under interface, you click on mods and add-ons. It gives you instructions how to enable add-ons to show up and install right here. So I don't need to say it. You can just read it. Come down here. These are all the add-ons I have installed right now. Most of it is from Fisk UI. Like I turned off CMap and Compass. I don't like how they look. A few things, Tidy Roll, I didn't really like. So you can turn them off and turn them on here, enable. It's okay if they're, say, out of date. You can still enable them and run them. Just know you might have a crash because of that. The sound for the effects in this game are very loud, so you might want to turn that down a little bit, but it's up to you. That's personal preference. And finally, key mapping here. You know, targeting, you'll want to pick how you want to target nearest enemy, or cycle enemies, target next enemy. There's a couple different ways to target enemy. Target closest enemy. As a slayer, I like to just target the closest enemy, so when I hit tab, I know I'm gonna smack something with my axe. When you first make an Archmage, you're gonna start off here. You're gonna run over, you wanna grab your first quest, right, and you're gonna wanna kill some of these dark sprites. Then grab your next quest, and it's gonna tell you to kill some dark elves. Now, the reason why I'm going through these first 2 quests is that the second one leads you to your first endgame item. That's right, at the beginning of the game, for elves, you get an endgame item. And that's, if I go into my character screen here, it's your AP item. Now, AP is action points. You need action points in order to cast spells, do damage, smack someone, sometimes cast a buff. +1 AP per second is what I'm still using here in endgame. You want to go along this path, and you'll be following it to do your quest, right? You're gonna have to come over here and kill some dark elves. Let me mount up, so this goes a lot faster. All right, so we see some dark elves here. We're going through the forest. Oh, they attacked me. All right, we'll just kill them along the way. We don't like any nasty dark elf infiltrators. Oh, kill these guys. Tab target. Love it. Killing so many dark elves. And then you're going to go past. You're going to find these harpies, and they're a real pain in the butt because they could stun you here. And you're looking for... Let me just kill these guys. Hopefully I don't get stunned coming up here. Over here. I think it's over here. Yep, we're just going to go through, and you're leveling up the whole time while you're doing this. So don't worry about queuing for scenarios first. Scenarios is PvP in this game, as I talked about earlier. You can do that right from the beginning, right from level 1. You might want to get a level or 2 first so that you have some skills to play with. But you want to travel right over here, and this is where you can get the first end game item you're going to want. At level 1 or 2, maybe you leveled up getting here. This Calmo wine. You come over here, you click on this wine press, it's going to give you a quest. You click on these bottles, and you click on the wine press again. Bam! You completed the quest, and now you have your end game item. How easy was that, guys? On your way out, you're going to kill stuff. You're going to hit like level 2, maybe level 3. And honestly, you could do some quests if you really like questing in MMOs. But these are your normal 2008. I'm going to go collect things and turn it in quests. Not that fun. Maybe you like doing it. Maybe you want to do it. That's fine. Cool. You do you. But I didn't like doing that. As you see, we'll get into this next area. I didn't do that at all. You're going to come through here. You're going to see a bunch of quests at this camp. I never really completed these quests. I didn't care about them because I was queuing for scenarios. What I did, level 2 or 3, I started clicking on this join a scenario queue and just join all. And you're going to get put right into a scenario, PvP. You're going to be fighting other players and leveling up that way. If the queue is not popping because you're waiting in line to join these scenarios, that's fine. You run right over here to do your first public quest, House of Arachnith. And you can see there's people already doing it. So just come in here, you kill stuff, you do things, and you get rewards right off the bat. You're getting experience, and you're in queue here. Let me go help this guy. This is a 3-part public quest. Some have more. It just really depends on what it is that you're doing, which public quest it is. So I just went to the next stage. Great. It changed, and it's the bosses we have to kill. These guys are, what the hell is this level 40 doing here? All right, let's go find the bosses. Are up here on the bridge. So we're going to help them finish this stage 3, and we're going to get a chest from this with sometimes gear, sometimes money and equipment. And that's a good way to level up in between scenario queues. So we're going to kill this guy. We're going to help him out here. Oops. He's dead. All right. Hopefully these guys don't get mad at me. But there it is. There's a chest. There's the end. And it's going to roll for loot, right? Depending on how much effort you put into it, you're going to get a bonus to your roll. I would have gotten... oh, I did get a massive loot bag. Sorry, guys. And then you see here, you can get your first set of gear, right? A blue robe. You get a new staff. Level 4, awesome start for stuff. You can get Slippers of Carnage, and the reason why you would want to pick this, if you get a massive loot bag, you're going to want to pick the yellow item that drops, because it unlocks wards, gear wards, right? So I would select that, of course, select, then I have one piece of the Slippers of Carnage set. And go ahead and equip that. If you equip all 3, you get plus 20 willpower at the bottom. You equip 2-piece, 45 armor set. And we'll discuss the wards in a little while. But let's keep talking about leveling up. You're not too worried about the gear sets just yet. You're level 5, 6, and you're still queuing for scenarios. The next thing to do while you're queuing for scenarios is you want to make your way through these chapters up to your first Warcamp. Scenarios are WoW's battlegrounds. You start at level 1, but there's a bolster system. So at level 1 and 2, it's going to boost you up to level 15. So you're all playing on the same even playing field. Gear has a little bit of an effect. So as you level up, you'll want to wear gear closer to your level, so the bolster is more powerful. The reason why I do these normal quests until level 2 is because you won't have access to your mount until level 2. You really want to use your mount to get around, especially in the scenarios, otherwise you're going to be left behind. And you won't be able to run away when they blob and kill you. So let's head up here, and we're going to head towards... if you look on your map, you're going to see this icon here, 3 arrows. This is your Warcamp, your first tier 1 Warcamp. You're going to want to head that way while you're queued for scenarios. because it opens up your travel everywhere else. You're going to want to unlock new bags at some point. So if you come here and you look, you see I have all these bags unlocked. If you're just starting, you're not going to have them unlocked. You're going to have locks here. All you got to do is click on the lock, spend some money, and you can unlock it. The first one I think is like 40 copper, and then it costs silver, and then it costs gold. It's pretty cheap to unlock. You want to unlock that as soon as possible because you will fill up your bags. You actually don't have to run all the way to the Warcamp. You could use a flight master to get there if you have the money. So you're at the Blighted Isle. You would want to travel to the Blighted Isle, but it costs 50 copper. You might not have that right now. It only takes a minute to run over there, so no big deal. So again, I'm running by another public quest. On your way to the Warcamp, you could hit up that public quest and kill these cold ones and their keepers to level up while you're waiting on your queue to pop. Another thing that's in here is your Book of Binding when you start. This takes you to any rally point, and when you first start the game, it's going to take you to your starting area. One of the first things you want to do is speak to a rally master at your Warcamp and set up your spawn point. There's a renowned trainer there. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but let's go find that rally master right over here, and let's talk to him. Could you level up doing nothing but scenarios? Yes, you can. You can go in level 1 and just sit there, queue for scenarios, and join. And then while you're queuing for scenarios, still run to the Warcamp, ignore all the PvE stuff, and do some realm versus realm. We'll get into the tier 1 realm versus realm soon. Let's set our rally point here. So set rally point. This puts my home here. Do you really want to set your rally point here? I do not, but you do it. You do it for now, and we'll set it in Altdorf later. That's where I like it. Wherever you want to have it, that's kind of up to you. One thing I didn't go over, as you're doing public quests in an area, you see up here on the top right, it says High Elf Chapter 2. I'm in the Chapter 2 area, so as I complete this chapter doing public quest, you fill this up and you get rewards. They're really not important. If you want gear in the first couple chapters, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, I did it so that I got my first armor sets and weapons. That's kind of cool, but afterwards, I didn't really do any PvE. I pretty much did all PvP. As Sergeant Pepper said, all PvP getting to level 40. But you can do that. You can select influence rewards for filling this out. You get rings, braces, weapons, accessories, all that good stuff. Book of Knowledge is pretty great. It shows all of your stats. Shepasaurus the Archmage shows my history of ORvR kills and monster kills. You go through, next line down is your quests. All your quests here, this is where you abandon quests or share quests with someone else. This quest log will fill up, so you need to make sure. I think it's like 1.5 pages it'll fill up to. You will need to remove them. See the war story. When you unlock chapters, when you complete chapters, it will tell the story, and you could actually do the storyline for all the Empire, for the dwarves. If you go here into Invasion, there's a story behind everything. It's pretty cool. There's so much lore here, so much Age of Sigmar lore. If you're into that, it's freaking awesome, and I wish more games would just have this. Absolutely amazing thing. Came out in 2008, and still so many games do not have a bestiary like this, don't have an achievement setting like this. It tells you all your rewards, all your titles, and you can set these titles. There's history and lore. You can read about ORvR. So many entries that you have to unlock, and then you can read about. Here we go, High King's Hold, and then the story about High King's Hold and some history behind it. Super cool stuff in here, guys. If you're into lore, especially Warhammer universe, you're gonna love this. Noteworthy persons you've run into. Again, you can click through and see who you've talked to and about them. Then your bestiary, it tells you kills of each type of monster, enemy, and then you can go in here and learn about the Flesh Hounds of Khorne. And a little bit of lore about them, how many you've killed, and there's different tasks that you can unlock, a little bit of XP per each one. XP doesn't matter, but it's just fun. People like to fill out their book for each character. Then you get into your armory, and we're going to come right back to this when we talk about our gear sets here. And then you get the live events at the bottom. Each weekend, there's always a live event going on. Gun, Shrooms, and Steam was this past weekend's event, where you get a bunch of war crests, Genesis crests, crafting materials. You can pick up Potion of Acclaim, and from level 1, you can start getting these rewards by running these on the weekends, right? T1 scenarios. You got to level 10, doing scenarios, doing quests. Something that was just added to this game that I wanted to talk about was a new dungeon, a new low-level dungeon, Dragonback Pass. It will not only teach you class mechanics, teach you about grouping, but it also gives you your first set unlock. You're going to want to unlock armor sets for your wards, and we'll talk about why that is. Go into your chat, you type /5, and you're looking for a group. You say, looking for a group, you're a tank, or if you're playing an Archmage, healer for Dragonback Pass. There's lots of people playing. You can see you can't see my chat too well because I'm hiding it. But there's lots of people playing. You'll be able to find a group most times. So you want to go to the Dwarf vs. Greenskin, and you want to go over to your T1 area. Let me explain this map real quick. This is the Realm War map. This is everywhere where you can travel, and the last one is Land of the Dead, which you don't have to worry about until you're level 40. It's a level 40 realm versus realm thing that happens each week. It's a battle, and sometimes it gets to be as big as 300 versus 300. It's pretty awesome. You don't have to worry about this now, and we could talk about it later, but every weekend this is a big event. You gain tickets from open realm versus realm fighting, warbands and such. You'll get expedition tickets. You could turn in the expedition tickets for a chance to get in line to join the Land of the Dead. It's worth it. There's lots of rewards and stuff. But we're here back talking about these realm wars in the travel map. So on the far right, you're going to find all the T4 areas. You can think of it as T4, T3, T2, and T1, whereas T1 is all the lower level stuff. And if you mouse over it, you're not sure where to go, it tells you what ranks fit well. So say you're rank 23 and you want to find a place to do public quests while you wait for your scenario to pop or a group to open up for warbands. You could go over here. 24 to 25. That's probably a little bit too high for me. So I could go to, let's see here, 20 to 23 right here. That's perfect. The Badlands. I would go here, try to find some PvE while I wait for something to open up. Right? Back to Dragonback Pass dungeon. It's a T1 dungeon, open for low levels, level 10 to 12, even higher, up to 15. You know, you go to Ekron here in the dwarf territory. So once you get to Ekron, you're going to come over here and talk to this NPC, Brinley Erwin's daughter. Right click on her and she has a bunch of quests you can do. And the great things about these is that you get your armor set. So if you see here, Protector's robe, the slippers, and the circlet, you're going to need these to be able to wear the higher tier armor sets. You have to get each set of armor. You can't just skip it. If you don't want to do a PvE dungeon, that's completely fine. This is just an option. You can also get it through massive bags from public quests. Although that's PvE. You know, we just got that. This is one of those wards you can unlock. Another way to do it is by buying it. In these T1 war camps, this is another T1 war camp, you can go over here to these vendors and recruit Emblems Quartermaster. I'd like to browse your wares. Yeah, here we go. You can buy chest, boots, belt. You only need 2 pieces for your first ward. And we'll look at that when we look at the wards. But, excuse me. You buy it with Warcrest. You get Warcrest from doing PvP activities, from killing other players, either in scenarios or open realm versus realm. And we'll show some open realm versus realm in a second. But while we're talking about this, we're talking a lot about wards, unlocking, making sure you get your first armor set. Why is that? If we go back into your Tome of Knowledge and you look here at the armory, you're going to see these different wards. In order to wear your next set of gear, we're going to call it Tier 2 gear, your Scout Ward, you have to have worn a piece of boots, Tier 1 boots, where Protector's boots are the set you get from the Dragonback Pass, and Braggot boots are sets you pick up. You know, there's Carnage, there's Hunter, and then there we go, it's a chest piece. So you wear these 2 chest pieces, and now you can wear your Tier 2 Scout Ward armor. And the same thing happens as you go through, you level up, you get new armor sets. You have to unlock all fragments of previous tier before you can wear the next tier of armor, right? And starting at the soldier's tier, you have to get 5 pieces, all 5 pieces. Helm, chest, shoulders, gloves, boots. So that's the ward, and that's why it's so important to get all sets of armor. And the reason why people do PvE in this game is to save war crests. If you go in your bag and you go over to currency items, you see there's war tokens, which is from PvE activities, and then war crest, which is from PvP. And your end of game top tier gear, best in slot gear, takes over 10,000 war crests to buy a full set. It also takes renown rank, which we'll get into. Right now we're just focused on the experience. You're gaining renown by doing PvP activities. You really don't want to slack on PvP activities, because if you get too far to level 40 and you have low renown, you're not going to be able to wear all the gear you need to wear. So you want to be doing PvP. You have to be doing PvP in this game. And the war crest is how you continually buy gear sets. But it's not the only way to get gear sets. And I highly recommend you use PvE as a way to get gear sets. So your first gear set we showed you, you can get from Dragonback Pass, the new dungeon. You can get it, we showed you public quests where you can get it from bags. And we also showed you the Quartermaster. You can just straight out buy it with Warcrest. Don't spend too much time on this. If you have the Warcrest, just spend them. These are really cheap. It's not going to hurt you in the long run. Just get 2 pieces and keep on going through your tier 1. We magically turned into a dwarf slayer, a dirty elf. So let's see. Let's open up here on the top right. Below the join scenario queue, you'll see another button called State of the Realm. You click this and it shows you where people are, basically. You're going to see a lot of stuff, and it's going to be super overwhelming. At the start, right click on this and uncheck pretty much everything except for tier 1. Tier 1 is all you really need to look at and worry about for right now. So it looks like in the Blighted Isle and Nordlands, there's battles going on, but you can see, maybe you can't see, it's very small letters. It looks like there's 25 to 99 people in Nordland. So let's go over there and check that place out, because it looks like there's an active battle. And another thing you can do when you're looking for active battle is go to parties and warbands and take a look here and just mouse over. Everyone's 40, you know, they're in higher T4 areas. These guys are in Nordland. Okay, this is T1 area. They're all below level 15. So let's join this group, right? Let's go over to Nordland. Now, you don't have to pay to fly to Nordland, right? Nordland's down here. But when you're first starting out, you don't want to pay. So click on this View War Report. You look over here and you see Battlefield Objective. The enemy has been engaged in Nordland. And once every 20 minutes, you can use this to quick teleport around. Do you wish to teleport to this event? Yes. And now you're going straight to Nordland. You're going straight to where your party's at, and you'll be able to hop right into the fight. Scenarios is the smaller scale. This is a much larger scale fight. Let's head over here and see if we can find some action. T1 is for level 15 and below. But you can see on the map, there's 2 flags here. There's a Order War Camp right across from a Chaos War Camp. And you see the entire group is fighting over here. And what you're doing is you're trying to hold these flags, and you're returning supplies back to your war camp. Chaos is bringing them here, and Order is bringing them back to our war camp. You always want to follow your warband. A couple things talking about warbands. Some things you always want to do, some things you never want to do. You always want to follow the warband leader. If you don't stick together as a group, as you just saw, you go off on your own, you just get torn apart by a bigger blob on the other side, right? So always go to your warband, always follow your warband leader, and do what he says. I mean, it's as simple as that. You'll get in team fights. You'll be supported by a tank and a healer. You see they're fighting over these supplies and this flag right now. It's great. If you don't follow your warband leader like I did before, you just get ganked. Another thing you don't want to do while you're in a warband is queue for scenarios. If you do want to queue for scenarios and do open ORvR at the same time, that's okay, that's fine. But don't join a scenario without leaving your warband first, because that essentially cuts off slots while you're in the scenario. That's an extra slot that someone else could join in, and it's just considered bad etiquette. Organized warbands, you're going to want to play your role. A tank, you're going to want to guard a DPS. A healer, you're going to want to heal everybody. Damage, you're going to want to jump in and kill their backline, right? Don't focus on their tanks. Focus on the healers. You capture flags. You collect the boxes that generate, and you bring them back to your war camp. Whoever fills their bar first, the most, in T1, wins. And it locks the zone, and the war moves to another T1 area. After you hit level 15, you hit level 16, and you try to come back into a T1 zone, something amazing happens.